See what we got here. All right. All right. So happy rainy Tuesday to everyone. Appreciate you guys joining. I figure a rainy day, there's nothing else to do. You guys would want to participate. If you don't know me, I'm Michelle Vander. I work out of the Lake office. I've been with Keller Williams about, I don't know, a little over 3 years. I've been in real estate about 8. The market this past 18 months has been a new experience for a lot of us. And hopefully, if you guys are coming to these classes and things like this, it kind of help you guys wave through this. Today, I'm going to talk about money. That's our first part. And if anybody watched last week or came to last week's, Scott talked a lot about leveraging, hiring, how you should train your team. Not everybody's on a team, but it can also relate to you as a person, how to train yourself. So today we'll kind of get into money and things like that and passive income. Because there's other things in real estate you can do besides just sell. And if you want to plan your future, these are some of the things I would definitely think about. Even if you're new, think about something you'd want in the future. I mean, we all should be thinking about our goals and what we want in the future, because obviously with real estate, there's no retirement. There's no, medical health, nothing like that. So you got to kind of think about yourself. And when you came in, I'm not sure if you were given this book. When I was first recruited and I sat down and talked to a couple people, I was given this book and they said, hey, here, read this, which I didn't immediately. And it's been a long time, but looking back through it and doing this class, it's actually pretty good because it reminds you of things you should be doing. Ignite does the same thing. It just gives you a little more in depth with the tools. This is more of like an overview and how you can get what path you should take to be that $1 million real estate agent. So let's start with money, and I'm on page 249. If I'll try to give you you'll see me look back and forth and look down. I took some notes I thought was important. But in your book, it's 249. It's money. And we'll just kind of start with that. By the way, how's everybody's business going? Anybody have any? George, anybody? Anyone? Man, I know it's a little challenging right now, but how are things going? George, I've never met you, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Just waving through.
As a new realtor, I'm still trying to figure out the ins and outs of the process.
Yeah.
Communicating with people I know, sending my app, trying to generate some interest with some callbacks, but not a lot. So I'm still trying to get my wheels on the rails.
Yep. And it'll take a minute. I don't know what your background is. I don't know if it's sales. If it's sales, you know how that works. If this is new to you, it's a little weird to step outside your box and ask people to buy things, even though a house is it's their ultimate goal and what everybody does want, to eventually have their own home, their own home ownership, things like that. I started with a smaller company and then came into Keller Williams. So I had, like you already done those steps, but then came here and, obviously more tools, more technology. It might take a minute, and it sounds like you're on the right track. Make sure anyone you meet, and I'm sure you've heard this before, and I'm not sure if you're taking Ignite, always have your business cards with you. Always, because you never know if you're, at a kid's game, or, maybe you go to buy a new car. I remember when 2 years ago, I had to get the family van. Not proud of it, everybody wants to be the soccer mom. They want to be the cool mom, right? But I ended up giving the salesman my card, and that day he had just got his license. But now, even though he's not going to buy from me, that's a good connection, because I might do a deal with him, and it makes it easier when you get along with other realtors. You'll learn how that's important, because then you help each other out, which makes your clients happy, If they're happy, they're going to refer you. So keep doing what you're doing. I know that, I don't know how busy you are in your life, but just life in general, it's not easy to just say, I'm going to sit today and make calls, but have your cards with you, take it, let everybody, whatever your previous job is, they have to now think George the realtor. So you want to just keep pecking a little bit, put that in their mind that you're a realtor, and they'll think about you. And then you'll notice people that even though you've told them and you've told your family and friends, and you see them use someone else, don't take that personal. I usually do, because I'm like, why didn't they use me, right? But you have to stay on top of mind. That's the words I'm looking for. Stay on top of mind. And like I said, you'll meet strangers. I mean, you could be, I don't know your hobbies. Like, for instance, my hobbies is fishing. So if I'm in a fishing store and I just hear somebody talk about a house, I'll go over and introduce myself. I mean, what's the worst they could tell you is, don't bother me. You say, okay, here's my card. If you change your mind, you never know they might call you in 6 months. They might call you in a year and be like, hey, you really made an impact. You came over. I like that. I like that you're aggressive and you want to sell. I mean, you never know. So now you sound like you're on the right track. Same with some of the other new realtors, same thing. And unfortunately, real estate's got super competitive. We have tons of real estate agents. I sell mostly at the lake and in Roanoke. I don't know your competition. Are you in Lynchburg?
I'm between Lynchburg and Charlottesville. So I live in Charlottesville, but I spend most of my time between Lynchburg and Charlottesville. So I have quite a bit of area, and I've met quite a few different people, but nothing concrete as far as relationships or anything like that.
Right. You'll get it. And here's the thing, George, if someone's at Keller Williams that you really click with, and I know this has nothing to do with the class, but I love to help people get where I'm at. Some days I don't know where I'm at, but most of the time I feel like I do pretty well. Connect yourself with that person that you feel comfortable with. Use them for questions. Hey, what could I do? What am I doing wrong? Self-reflect, which we're going to get into with money on, paying attention to your money and profit and loss and things like that. But, make those connections, and, don't be scared. I know it's tough to just talk to strangers, but if you're at a family gathering, give your card out. I mean, they're going to get annoyed, like, God, it's all she talks about. But, you get that one or two sale and you're like, all right, I can do this. It's worth it. Once you see that paycheck and what you're putting to help your family or help whatever your goals are, it's going to click for you. So anyway, and then I know Vanessa's background. Yeah. So
well, I inserted myself into Michelle's life as a mentor. So find that mentor, find somebody that you click with, definitely. And that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Helped me because I'm new this year. So that helped. And also parents, I mean, there's waitresses, they have parents. We pass out a card at lunch, and you never know what you get out of that, because that's worked as well. So just keep passing your card out.
Yeah, I'm passing the cards out on a regular basis, pretty much everybody I deal with. And I have one or two said, oh, I didn't know you were a realtor, and things like that. And then you build a conversation. And but yeah, I think probably the biggest challenge is getting some of the individuals that I do business with comfortable using me as a real estate agent. So,
yeah, you do. Real estate's a big decision. You think about it, you are helping with their journey on one of the biggest purchases of their life, whether it's new, second home, retirement. I mean, that's a lot of trust they'll put into you. So just keep doing what you're doing, stay in touch. And if you have somebody that, knows you're a realtor and you've touched base, if you can monthly, just reach out, say, how's it going? Or, happy birthday, whatever they have going on. That way they just keep George in their mind. So, which you're going to hear a lot of the same things, but it works. And if you don't stay on top of mind, then they go to someone else. So keep doing what you're doing. All right, let's start with money. I'm on 249. It starts at the bottom, money, and it talks about business and money issues. So some people are not good savers. Some people don't always pay attention to what they're spending. You can do it in your personal life, but in business, you really need to keep track. I mean, sure, you'll get a great check, and then you don't think about what you spent to maybe get that sale. Maybe it's advertising, maybe it was buying postcards. And I hear it all the time, and I take these classes myself, because it reminds me of what I'm not doing right or what I need to do better. Um, you know, money comes in, money goes out. It's just the same with your personal checking account as business. With business, you have to watch, because to make a profit, you've got to have more than you're spending. And I will tell you, and I do get ahead of myself, but I will tell you, it's easy to someone to call you, especially when you become a realtor. You'll start getting all these telemarketers and all these groups saying, hey, I could do this for leads if you paid me, or hey, do you want to advertise in the local paper? When you first start, unless you're just born into a family that has money, but you're still not making your profit, you have to think about your future. Don't buy into that. Say no. If it's something that sounds really, really good and you're like, it's not that expensive, I could get my branding out, because again, you want people to see your face and hear your name over and over and over and over and over again. Listen to all the info, then take a few days to think about it, and then say, okay, is this going to make me more dollars back? What's going to be your return on investment? And you don't have to advertise. We've talked, I forgot what class I taught in Ignite lately, but finding free, which is calling your leads, doing your lead gen, stuff like that. That's all free. It doesn't cost you anything. And then when you get a little more money in, and you're like, okay, I want to spend a little bit on advertising, then do it. Start slow. And some realtors, I've seen testimonies from classes I take, that referral, so you get a few good people and you sell them homes and they're happy with you, they're going to refer you. Again, that's all free. You don't have to pay for anything. All right. So my point is, because I like to go around the bush to get to the front of it, all the way around it. As a real estate salesperson, your goal is to increase your revenue, which that is the ultimate goal, obviously, to make money. Control your cost. I just talked about some points with that. And increase your income. So in chapters 7 and 8, it talks about the economical model and your budget model. And if you forget what that was, because I know classes are weekly, write down, hey, look back over chapter 7, look back over chapter 8. But that's going to kind of give you your go by. And this whole book is based off systems and models. And that's how you want to run your business. So always have a budget. And I'll tell you what is a good thing to do. Did I do it my first few years? No, I did not. I just saw that I was making money, and I either got lucky or worked hard or something happened. But every year I've increased my business. But you just see that dollar amount. Hey, I made this. But you need to go in and maybe build an Excel sheet or ask someone that is already doing it. What do you use? And then it'll calculate your outgoing and your ingoing. And that's going to give you your real profit. It's easy for everybody to say, hey, I got this year I made, I don't know, $100,000. I'm just going to throw it out there. Well, did you really make that, or did you take all your expenses out? What did you do to get there? So we talked about the economic model. Let's see. I'm going to go to page 250. I'm going to try to tell you guys where I'm at. So you guys can kind of follow along with the points that I kind of wrote down. So again, one of the hardest tasks you will have is sticking to your budget model. And again, it's easy to make, have a few good months, you make some money, and then you want to go out and spend it. That's easy to do. They talk about the why, why are you doing this? Why do you get up every day? Why do you make your phone calls? What drives you? And most people, it's so they can live a better life, or maybe you have kids you want to put in college, or maybe you want a brand new truck. Like, say you've never had a brand new truck in your life, or a boat. But again, you still have to watch your spending. Just because you're making it, you need to have, things for the future. That goes with profit versus loss. So again, if you have something in writing, and I know it takes time, okay, to put it in, but if you had a sheet, I do an Excel, so I'll put the address, the person, the close date, and the amount. And then I just have a running sheet that helps me with what I made for that year. Plus I can check it monthly. I don't have to just wait till tax season and go, okay, I made this, but here's all my expenses. This is what I really made. Keep track. And if you're not making what you want to make, then that tells you, hey, I need to make more appointments. I need to be on the phone more. It's all about leverage and where you want to be. So I'm going to ask, who is good at saving? Vanessa's not raising her hand. Yes. I will tell you, I talk myself into, and people do this, I talk myself into things I really want and say, I do need this. I do need, to have this. Saving is hard. It's really hard. And it's really hard to run your own business. Anyone else, good, bad, ugly, want to talk about how they are with saving?
I know I never have enough saved.
Yes. George, I'll tell you, my spouse tells me all the time, you could have $1 million and it's not going to be enough. I think I'm that person that really worries about the future. And, you always want more, which means then I have to work more or find a way, leverage wise, we'll get into, of how to have a future budget. For instance, I have one rental. Do I want a portfolio of those? Is that something? Because that's all going to give me income later. I'll be making money while I'm sleeping, if I have some investments. So what I would suggest is do an annual budget. So at the end of every year, and they've talked about, and they will talk about again, sit down and think about your goals for the year. If you say, I want to make 250,000 next year, then you need to sit down and write down your goals of what you need to do, how much you need to sell, how many appointments you need to go on. Also do the same thing with your budget. Okay, so I tried this last year, say, for instance, I'll give you an example. So one time I did a billboard. Could I ever trace if I got any sales off that? I have no idea what my return on investment was. I'm going to say goose egg. I'm going to say it was 0. But I had more texts from friends, people that drive that area and go, saw your billboard, saw your billboard, saw your. So it's going in their mind. I spent that money more on branding, but it did not give me any money back. So the next year I didn't do the billboard. So sometimes you have to just reevaluate what you spent your money on, what worked, what did not work. And again, lead generation, talking to people, making those care calls, calling someone on their birthday, just so you stay top of mind. That's all free. The only thing that costs is time. And some people hate to talk on the phone, so send them a text. Hey, blah blah blah, happy birthday, or I saw this. How's your kids? And then if you get into conversation, then you insert that. Do you know anybody who wants to buy or sell? I'm still in real estate. Hey, the market's this, market's that. And you never know. They might say, hey, there's a lady I got to go to church with, and she was talking about listing her house. I don't know if she has, but I'll check for you. I mean, you just never know. So do an annual budget and stick to it. That's hard for people. I would tell you, if I told you I stuck to a budget all the time, I'd be sitting here telling you a big fat lie. I do pretty well. I don't like to spend money unless it's on boat, fishing, kids. Kids, you don't have a choice. And then if you can, and again, I know you get busy. The busier you get in your business, the busier you get, if you've heard that saying. review it. Try to review it monthly. Sit and look at your expenses and sit and really, self-evaluate. And if you have a team, you want to evaluate your team. I don't want to leave that out. But I'm assuming the people I can see on here, we're all independent right now. When I say review it, it means look at where you spend their money. Did you spend your money on advertising and that didn't work? Was it absolutely justifiable? That's what you want to ask yourself. Was it absolutely justifiable? Did I need to do this? Did it give me a return on this investment? And I get time to time, I'm a sucker for kids. I've had people at my previous job want me to do a sponsorship in like their lacrosse book, and it's it's $100 a page, so I would do it. But it goes to a good cause, which then you can use to better yourself. You get in, you get good out. I did something for their kid, and they'll know, hey, she does real estate, she gives the others. It could come back for you. 252. For each proposal, so if there's a proposal to spend money, advertise, do something that you have to put money into your business, ask how it's going to increase your income or save on expenses. So make sure you ask that. Really sit down and do it. And I'm telling you, there's going to be tons of ways you can advertise. There's going to be people call you, people, or you think, God, this is a really good idea. I work at the lake. I should advertise in the Lake magazine. Well, Michelle, sit and think 12 months. Every ad each month is $500. Is it getting me something back? Again, I want to brand myself at the lake. So for me, where I'm at now in 8 years, I can do that. Visitors are going to come. All these magazines set by the local restaurants and stores, but there's also 25 other realtors. So is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. It's something that you personally would have to figure out with whatever you do. All right, as far as money, does anybody have any comments, questions? I love discussion. I love other people's opinions. Well, my spouse would disagree, but I love other people's opinions. It could be something I haven't thought about or something I can help you with. Does anybody have anything they want to ask or comment? If you don't, we'll definitely move on. All right, Vanessa, nothing? All right. I have to keep my eye on her. She's one of those. Okay, on 253, the next section, and these aren't very big sections. So if you can try to read this book before each session, it really is good. They're not long at all, like 25 pages to do all three of these sections. So this one is on you, okay? And I like this section. There's a little saying, if you look on 253, work harder on yourself than your job. And I know that it has probably taken me 20 some years to believe that. Your job sometimes becomes your priority because you want to make money. You may just be a person that wants to do well. And obviously it pays the bills. So you're going to want to do your best at that. But if you just kind of take that and think about it, work harder on yourself than your job, your growth will actually come before the growth of your business. So, and I'm going to lightly walk on this because it's not here to put anyone down or what you're doing wrong or you're a bad person. It's just if you haven't worked on yourself, there's going to be something that holds you back to do well at your job. So work on yourself. So you need to dedicate time, to your personal improvement and toward personal development. So before I got into real estate, I didn't know anything about sales. I don't mind talking to people. I am the person that if it's an awkward silence in the room, I'm going to make a joke. I don't mind breaking ice, but I'm thinking in my mind, could I sell something? Could I do this? So your personal growth and where you're at and feeling confident, that's going to help grow your business. And I don't know if you guys ever heard, people buy from people they like. And that could, be with anything. You could go to a furniture store and you're like, I'm just looking, but you end up liking that salesman or salesperson, and you feel like, all right, I'm going to buy here because I like them. They believe in their product. They're sincere. So people really, really do buy from people that they like. I mean, look at technology now, social media. I will have people that have looked my business page up, and they end up asking me when I meet them, hey, you used to do this in your past. Hey, you have 2 kids. Hey, people will Google you before you ever meet them in real life. So again, they're looking for that person they connect with, and unfortunately, sometimes with clients, the more you click, they're going to stick with you. So work on self-improvement. Plus, it helps you meet your goals. If your personal self is out of balance, then it's going to be hard with your business. You're gonna kind of struggle with that. So 2 areas of personal development to reach greater success. That's on 253. To reach greater success is 1, maintain your focus on the 20% of business that matters the most. Okay, so there's an 80-20 rule, and 20% of your business is where you need to focus most of your time. There's going to be that 80% that, and I shoot things straight. You will learn that. There's that 80% that might just be hey, it's Sunday and we should go just look at houses and I have no real intention to buy. Or that, that percentage is just out of the blue. You've got a closing coming, and, you might have to, keep them in check with what they should be doing. You've got to get this done because you're closing. Those are all the little things. The 20% is where you're really looking for your listings, your leads, and your leverage. So that's what you need to concentrate on, because that's the 20% is what's going to bring you that income from your sales. And it does matter the most. Number 2 is maintain some sense of balance in your life, so you'll always have the energy you need to pursue your goals. Okay, so not knowing a lot of your backgrounds, like I said, I know a couple of you. Balance it's a hard thing. We get busy with kids. Maybe your parents are sick. Maybe you have travel time. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're coaching for a little league. That's all other things that has to help balance, with your business. So you have to have that balance in your life as well. A way that you can help with it is if you have, and I will do old school, I'm a paper person, but I'll actually print a calendar and then maybe write off what I have that week. And then that tells me the time I have left to do other things that might not be on my priority list. Let's see. And if you run out of energy, which we all do, I mean, I have been where, and I know a lot of you guys do it too. I don't just mean I'm just giving you examples. You may have for instance, kids are back in school now. You got to deal with everything they're doing, help with homework, make sure they do homework, dinner time. And then at 9 o'clock, you can start responding to, your clients. Maybe you're writing a contract because you showed houses all day. It's easy to lose energy. It's tough. It's a tough balance. But then you get all that done. You write your contract. It gets accepted, right? Always gets accepted. And then you have the next 3 or 4 days to do nothing. Well, that doesn't mean just literally do nothing, because you get the one sale, you get it under contract. What do you have the next month? The month after that? So you still have to be thinking, I've got to put some effort in to think about what I'm going to have in the next 2 months, for income. So stay focused on the 20%, and you'll be constantly faced with distractions. I just brought up a few of them. And then there's those days where you just, like today is rainy, it's blah. It's the day you'd want to be on the couch, watching Lifetime movies and, whatever, flipping channels. You're kind of lazy, like, I can take the day off. You have to really dig deep. I know it's a struggle for myself sometimes when everyone's gone to work and school and it's just me, and I'm like, my time. and you don't want to do anything. But you have to do it, because what do you have the next month? All right. So another way you can handle this 80-20, which is this distractions and focus, is pick out which activities are dollar productive. What's going to help you in your business. Now, not to say something's going to pop up, the school calls, your spouse has some emergency, their car breaks down, whatever. But for the most part, if you can plan what's the most important, that's going to bring you that dollar back. That's what you want to focus on first. And I'll tell you, some people say if they do the thing they don't want to do first and get that out and done for the morning, then the rest of your day goes a lot smoother. Other people, we would be called procrastinators. We'd rather do the easy stuff and save that one that we just don't want to do for last. So figure out what's good for you. And maybe in your personal growth, start doing the hard. Say it's a call to a client and you have to tell them it's like the worst inspection you've ever seen, and we've got to wade through the second part of negotiation. Go ahead and do that. Get that over with. Then do your other things. So 254. Let's see. For instance, at the top, it says, I call 5 people in the first hour of the day. I do lead follow-up the second hour. The rest of the day is for appointments with clients and buyers. So as you get busy, this is something to think about. Because if you get up in the morning, you have coffee, and again, you're flipping channels, you're like, I just need a minute. And then your call time goes by. Then you get a lead that someone wants to see houses that evening. You're not getting your calls and your other follow-ups done, because you're going to have to rearrange your schedule, go show houses. So this Christina that writes this down, this saying, which is a good point. I'll call 5 people in the first hour of the day. I do lead follow-up the second, and then the rest of the day is left for appointments, or it's left the rest of the day with your family. So make sure you set goals, know your priorities, and do important things first. So you in your mind has to figure out what's most important to you. Obviously, family comes first. But as far as your business, do the most important things first. And if you have a client that tells you the first time you speak to them that they love good communication, that's a huge hint that if you need to call them, you better call them first that day. So the cornerstone of your business, and you've heard me say it, leads, listings, and leverage. Work your leads, get listings. I mean, that's going to all leverage what's going to happen in the next 2, 3, 6 months. So we'll talk a minute about focus. And if anybody has a comment or question, just please interrupt me, please. And that 20% with the goal to action, the 20% system is on page 255, by the way, if you wanted to read that. It's a chart, and it talks about your focus. Like I was saying, write down your key goals and the action steps to achieve them. Allocate time in your personal calendar for all the action steps you need to accomplish. And if time permits, to get as many of the 8% tasks done after your 20%, then go to those. So what I like to do is, so I have an island in the middle of my kitchen, and every night before I settle down, I write everything I have to do the next day. It could be from take the car to get an oil change, to soccer game at 5, to call Mr. and Mrs. Seller about whatever. But in the next day, I check them off. I like to do them on paper because I see them getting done. So that might be something you want to do if you're a person that is struggling to get your goals, because as soon as you don't write something down, it'll be 5 o'clock that day, like, oh, I did not call them. Or the client reaches out to you first, and you don't want that to happen. It's going to be a bad day for everybody. Just some tips. Like I said, I like to throw them kind of what I do. You can, cater it to the way your personality is, but just to tell you, being in my experience, if you don't put those goals and as soon as you forget that person, they're probably going to forget you or be highly upset that you didn't call and answer their question. All right. All right, so I flipped over to 259, and what I did with these chapters, I just took notes on what I think really is important. There's a couple charts you guys can go over. There's a daily worksheet on page 258 where I was talking about, write down your tasks, personal tasks, things like that. So there's actually one they have here you could kind of make for yourself and, have it daily if you want it. I just write it on a notepad, flip it over to the next day and write my task I have to do. But however you want, or you can put it on your computer. So on 259, we all want to have a balanced life. But the thing is, if you fall out of balance, at least counterbalance your life. Sometimes, life gets busy. Life is life. And you get a little out of balance. But the important thing is, don't stay in that rut. Get back out of it. Like I said, bad things in life happen. Good things happen. It's you go highs and lows. Just like with business, business will be slow for a month and you'll get super busy. Then it'll be slow for a month and it'll get busy. So meaning that if you got out of balance, just remember and think about it. How long do you want to stay there? Because if you stay there, you're never going to get out of that rut. We talked a little bit, I touched on energy. So think about your energy level. And we all do it. We get super busy or we didn't sleep the night before or whatever. You can get burnout from running out of energy. I brought up a couple examples and just to emphasize them, work, family, health, that's just to name 3 things and you've got to balance all that, which equals, and I kind of like this little thing I wrote down, mind, body, heart, and soul. If your mind, body, heart, and soul is not, all on the same page, there's something wrong. And the human mind's a weird thing. You're going to be stuck on that one thing, and then the other 3 are gonna suffer. And when you meet clients, you need to be in that mode of business and happy and listen to what they're going to tell you, their do's, their wants, their needs, maybe even they might even talk to you about your personal life. That happens, especially if you go out with them a few times, you're riding around, you're in houses, it's going to happen. So make sure you balance your mind, body, heart, and soul. I know Keller Williams offers it, coaching. If you get to that point and you want a coach that keeps you accountable weekly to keep you in that balance, you can choose that option. Or if you have another realtor, that you can call and, talk to whatever happened that day with a client or whatever. It's called accountability partner. I love being held accountable. Some people don't do that well just on their own. So if you have someone else that keeps you accountable, that could help your business as well. And like I said, some people pay for a coach, and they have, I've always heard that a coach, that way it will keep you in line. It will give you that task that week. So when you have to go back Monday and talk to that coach and you haven't done everything you and that coach talked about, it's easier for another person to keep you accountable than yourself sometimes. So just things to think about for your future with your business. All right. So the next section is receive, and it starts on page 263. And you'll see the little triangle, listings, leads, leverage. We kind of talked about that. This is the part on receive, when your money works for you. So if you haven't read this, there's a little story on 263, and he's talking about growing your money and your money working for you, not you working for your money. So it's about when he was a little boy, he mowed neighborhood yards, and I guess his family had to go. They were going on vacation. So what does he do with his customers? So he had a friend in the neighborhood that said, "Hey, I'll mow them while you're gone. I'd like to make money." So he's like, okay. And he works it out with his friend and the neighbors. Well, what he does was actually smart. So he was getting $15 per yard, just to tell you how old this is, obviously. $15 a yard, but he only gave his friend $10 a yard. So he was smart enough to figure out how his money could work for him. He still made $40 that week because he got the extra 5 from every yard. So that's a really good story to relate to the point of how your money can work for you. Basically, he grew his business like that, thinking about how can I get others, to grow my business, which will be more like of a team concept. Or, for instance, one of my ultimate goals is to finally have an assistant. When I get busy enough and I can't handle showings, contracts, because you can't be everywhere all the time. So if you had an assistant, that would help. Plus, that frees you up. If they're taking buyers out or doing the paperwork, you can go on listing appointments. You're the face. So there's a lady here in the Roanoke Valley. Her name's Callie Dalton. She's been around since I was a kid. No, don't ask my age, Vanessa. But anyway, she's been around for a long time. And I remember as a kid, she was on these big billboards. Well, when I became a realtor, I was like, man, I could do my first deal with her. I was like, oh my gosh, I was kind of intimidated because she's like the face on every billboard, selling everything in Southwest County, just probably making millions of dollars. I talked to her twice. After that, she had a closing team. She had another person in her office that I talked to about where do I put the offer, who do I send it to? I mean, she had everything. All she did was go around. She's the face of the listings, and her team handled everything else. And I'm sure she paid her team, but she was the face, and she's the one making the money. So was she working for the money? And it's not a put down. It was like, oh my gosh, that'd be great. You're just the person that has to ride around, meet people once or twice, and then you have a team in place that gets you from ratified contract to the closing. Like her team set up the inspections, everything. I never talked to that lady again. I did 2 deals with her. And I showed a few of her houses, and obviously I feel like she's just a person, but on this billboard as a kid, you're like, oh, she's the greatest thing ever. But this little mowing story, kind of brings me to think about that story. So your money, make your money work for you. It's, hate to do the cliche, the sky's the limit, but it really is. And maybe you're just a realtor that wants to only, use your license for investments or help investors. Or maybe this is something, in 2 or 3 years, you're like, I want to be like that lady. She's got all these people working for her, But again, the bigger the project or whatever you're doing, the bigger headache or responsibility. It's like being a supervisor or a boss. It comes with responsibility. All right. So in the MREA book, it talks about there's 2 routes to acquiring money. One is either you earn it, which means you work for the money, or you receive it, your money works for you. And that's those 2 stories kind of goes with your money works for you. Does anyone on here have any investments or own any rentals or flipped a house or anything else, or just selling?
No, I've got some commercial properties that my wife and I have that we have on included.
Good, very good. And how long have you had those?
10 or more years.
Good, that's a good thing. I've had 8 years. So it was my first house and I kept it. Apparently I'm a collector of houses, I don't know. So I kept it and made it a rental. So I've had that about 8 years now. And my ultimate goal is when it's paid off to sell it, even though this market was very tempting not to sell it. But paid off, and then those funds go into a college fund for my kids. That's, that was my ultimate goal. With the market, I'm scared what's going to happen in 10 years when it's paid off. Is it going to be worth what I paid for it? I don't know. Or is it going to be like the market now? But you can't go wrong with anything you invest in real estate. You can't go wrong at all. So that's a good thing you have that, George. that would fall under passive income, which this chapter talks about as well. Passive income is what comes back to you. I know, and you guys will get it the next class. It's going to be the 7th level, and there's levels of bringing people in and under you. So Keller Williams, I will tell you, this like just stood out to me, and I don't know if I can ever achieve this goal. So my first BOLD class, I'm guessing everyone's heard of BOLD. So BOLD is a class you take. It's a week long. It used to be in person. Last year it was on Zoom, so it's a little hard to be interactive. But it's a BOLD class, and it gives you weekly goals and how many sellers you're going to get for that week, how many buyers. And then it also puts you with other realtors from around the area, and you share ideas and everything. But I remember my instructor from my first BOLD. He lived in Florida, and he was obviously paid to teach, so he makes money there. But he had brought so many people in under him that he was making $5,000 a month just off of realtors that he brought in under him. So there's another route. If you get comfortable in what you're doing and you're like, hey, I got a friend that thought about real estate, or maybe you just want to start recruiting, in your own time. But the people under you, every time they make a sale and then the market hits their goal as a whole, you get a check. So I'm wondering how many people he actually had under him to make $5,000 a month. So think about his future. He teaches a gig for a while. He's done sales. And then when he decides to retire, because he lived at Disney, he had, such a hard life, right? So he lived right outside of Disney. And he said, that's $5,000 a month. I mean, I could probably live off $5,000 a month, Again, people tell me I always want more, but still, you wouldn't have to go out and say, okay, I need 6 listing appointments this month. I need 4 buyers to make this, because he's already getting that passive income, check monthly. So something to think about. Again, anytime passive income, think about your future. Think about investments, bringing people into the company, people under you, or, this chapter also talks about if you have a team under you. And I know if you ever wanted to get into that, that's not my thing yet. I was a boss before, so I'm kind of just want to do me right now. Teresa Grant or Acre, if you talk to one of them and just ask, hey, how'd you get a team? How's it work? That's, something that if someone wants to get that big, they could do that. And that's the 7th level, is to having your own team. Tina Fryer, which I think she presents next one. She has a team and owns a few offices, but just something to think about. So the most straightforward path you can take to build financial wealth and passive income, obviously, is investing with your, making your money work for you. And if you read on page 268, it talks about active and passive income. And also I was talking about the 7th level, because there's different levels. You bring someone under you, like an admin, then you get an admin and a buyer, then you get a team. It goes all up to level 7. Let's see. If you do decide that you want to have a team, it's like with anything with leadership, boss, whatever you want to call it. There's two types of people, right? There's a boss and there's a leader. I prefer the leader route. I like to give people, a chance to give me their ideas, and we can talk about it. I'm not just a barky boss, but you have to remember connect versus disconnect. So if you did have a team and you're the person that's hiring them, teaching them, you're going to kind of disconnect from just selling and doing things like that. You can still do it, but to have a team that's going to work, you need to teach them. Just like I said earlier, I would love to help people teach what I know. And if I don't know it, I'd be glad to find it out for you. But you have to be that person that keeps your team in place, keep grounded, give them goals, make sure they're meeting them goals. Plus, if you're, the leader, people are going to stay where they do well and they feel successful. So you have to help them, get the tools to do well for themselves. the biggest mistake you can do if you have a team or, you're teaching other people is to be not present, because it's just going to fail. It's going to be a demise. It's going to fail. And also to be a person that is over a team, you have to be able to hold them accountable, but also, you have to make them like where they work. They'll say, and people quit bosses they don't like, basically. So you have to make a fun environment. And, obviously they signed up for real estate to succeed. So you have to make sure they succeed. I am finished with all my major points for these 3 parts. Does anyone have questions, concerns? How they could achieve their goals, what they feel like they're doing right, wrong. I don't care. Share a story about you. I care less. I just like to know if you have anything before I go. And by the way, if you get off here and anyone needs, Vanessa can tell you, you can call me anytime. So if you got a question, I might not have an answer to Charlottesville, but I can have an answer to real estate. So do you use the same MLS for Charlottesville and Lynchburg, or is it a totally different one?
The MLS is available under the same, but I was debating whether to join the car association as a secondary member, just so I can have access to theirs. I haven't done that yet, but I'm considering.
Who'd you come in under?
I came on with Alice.
Okay.
Alice. I started at the Charlottesville office working with, went through the mostly training there.
Okay.
And decided to come to the Keller and Williams in Lynchburg.
Okay. Well, good. Very good. Yeah. I mean, most of the stuff you could do is from home, and especially now with Zoom. So it's, really not a big deal. I'm at the lake, but I still do some of my work in Roanoke just because that's where I'm originally from. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I spend a lot of time up that way as well. I was born and raised in Roanoke. So
I got you. Good. Well, very good. Anybody else before I go? Vanessa, anything?
No, you're doing great, Michelle. Thank you.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
answering
I
all
hope
the
you guys got
questions.
something. Do what?
Always.
Good. Well, very good. Well, like I said, if you need something, email me, call me. I'm sure you can Google me. My phone number's there. But George, if you have anything, or just, hey, this is, I ran into something weird, what would you do? I don't mind.
Okay.
I like questions, so you're not bothering me at all.
All right. Thank you. I do appreciate it.
Yep, you got it. Great to meet you.
Take care.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.